My, how times have changed. When I was around 14 or 15 years old, me and my buddies had this cool idea of learning how to play cards. We played poker, and we went to the cupboard and we got toothpicks. Divided the toothpicks around, and we played toothpicks. And got bragging rights on, I guess, who's going to have the cleanest teeth. And then, about 4 years later, I'm 18, moved off away from the house, living in a little place, and guys say, hey, let's play poker. I know how to play poker. Let's play penny ante poker. So everybody gathers up their little pennies, and we go play penny ante poker. About a year later, I was helping a guy in his car a lot, so I made a little extra side money. Invited me, you don't come play cards? Yeah. So I'm sitting down with about 4 guys, I guess, in their 30s or 40s. They're old to me. I was making about $80 a week at the quick shop working. And then that night, I lost about a week's worth of pay. And lived on all brand cereal and a little bit of water for the week. Because, hey, it didn't ever cost anything until it cost something. Then it cost me my whole week's paycheck. Then you start discovering something about that gambling, and that is, man, you can get hooked on this to where that, you really have trouble controlling the functionality of life itself. And you wonder why. And not only do you wonder why, but then we're going to take a big step into the present. And I want all of our young guys, I've got some outlines. I've already handed them out to a couple of you. I've got a couple more. So that we know this gig before we step off into it. Because sometimes people get into it like alcoholism and they spend the rest of their lives trying to get away from it. And it just controls everything that they do. Now, in a short list, you got the golden rule. It violates it, the gambling. It violates stewardship. It destroys a work ethic. And it's a destroyer of homes and families, and this is evidence. In fact, one of my good lifelong friends, I knew his father, then I knew him in the furniture industry, and they began having the market in Las Vegas, and he went there and he was a frequenter of that Las Vegas, and at the end of the market, he leaps off of a 15-story building and ends his life. Nobody knows. But we only know one thing. So, what do you got to lose? And let's get this out there for all of us older folks, because there's a lot going on that we just may have missed altogether. If on your Facebook feed, when you get some of these 777s and some of these little sites, if you hit X a few times, like many of you probably have, then they don't show up anymore. But if you're a young and up-and-comer, got a little money going on, or at least you're interested in that sort of thing, you have now 24/7. You could place a bet right now while I'm talking. There is no physical barrier to stop you from doing so. Used to be you'd have to have people, you have to go somewhere. It's not. Play anywhere, anytime. The instant digital transactions, they just don't feel real, do they? You got a few numbers, especially how they bait you in, hey, $5 and we'll give you 20 or 200, whatever it is, they'll give you some money so you can start making bets with their money. I wonder how they're going to come out on that. We'll see in a minute. But they're giving you money to wager with them. It will speed up the chasing of losses. These are all the psychological aspects of this addiction. You lose, so you get back in as fast as you can because you got to get it back. And savings, if there were some, will evaporate when this cycle begins. It's inevitable, Neo. It's inevitable. It's the way it will come out. The design is for habit formation. How can it be that someone would say, hey, you put $5 in, I'll give you $200 credit. Not $200, but you can just play for $200 on the house. What do we have with that? An incredible increase of first-time bettors. A constant push on your notification. Free bet. It's like the con men of the Pentecostal health and wealth doctrine, you know. Hey, give me some money and you'll get rich. This is simply just in our society. It has become integrated with live sports streams. And all my people now of a younger age are going to know what I'm talking about. It's taken over. In fact, they're saying it's jeopardizing the very game because of a suspicion that somebody could put money over here, work the advantage to payday. I missed the shot. I make the foul. Whatever it is. What happens? Why? Because it's in the system to bring these triggers. Imagine being the guy that took the money, blew the championship for his whole team and the rest of his life. The isolation is unavoidable. It is actually a mechanism for it to work. Solitary play, potential for severe personal crisis. Let's just play for a minute. How incredibly insane is betting right now? Get on your phone right now. The microeconomy, Costco's hot dog inflation, on a legal financial predication platform like Kalshi, you can genuinely bet real money on whether Costco will raise the price of their $1.50 dog and combo, hot dog and soda combo. Because Costco's leadership famously vowed never to change the price, it has turned into a highly active microeconomic tug-of-war online bettors, waging on corporate stubbornness. The Super Bowl. Oh, you know, everybody going, you've got to get in the office pool and vote on the Super Bowl, bet on the Super Bowl. No, forget the Super Bowl. What color is the Gatorade going to be that they drink? And how much you want to wager? I love the doink. I mean, you know, because you can't make that happen. So if the kicker kicks the ball and it hits the crossbar, you can bet on that. Do you see what we're saying? And so we know from statistical aspects, 74 billion about the time the pandemic was cranking, 123 billion online gambling revenue. Billion. Come on, y'all. Let's get realistic. You say you want to go somewhere, you say you want to do something, you say we ain't got no money, say something's wrong with our economy or our culture. Well, start right here. Goodness. I mean, I know a few guys in business that could use some of that business that people are throwing away. What do you mean throwing away, man? Most guys, I know a guy, he made $1,000 last week. You know, and they're saying people making, hundreds a week. Here's the reality. Financial fallout of online bettors. Net profit. Professional edge bettors, 4%. Net financial loss, players, 96%. Not a gambling man, but if you guys want to take them odds and come with me, we'll just see how many things we could put down that I'll give you 4% odds against my 96% odds, and you willing to go? Why would we do that? And what happens? Well, we know the association. And one of the most frustrating things of all is a lot of my guys I truly love and respect in the industry of having been in sports for Arkansas, they're pushing this thing harder than anyone. And they ought to take a step back and ask, is that really where I want to take my life and begin to influence the young people that I'm doing? Because you think you're just tapping into all your buddies, and you're not. But it erodes social cohesion. It begins to create in everything that you have in relationship with your person that you engage in gambling as you're going to lose and I'm going to win. And, of course, economic desolation. And by definition, differentiating between an investment in poker or gambling. Now, anybody that had any money in the stock market, they know what it's like at risk to lose money. Last, Friday or whatever that was? They, had a big switch. You're invested in a company, you didn't lose your money reduced because the value of the company was reduced, and then the next day it might go up. That's different from what gambling is. By definition, your allocation of capital for expected future return based on long-term analysis, a business fundamental of legally owned assets. You have a legal contract, you have due diligence, and you have part of wins. In the sense that your business endeavor will succeed. In the definition of your poker, the wager of value is an event of an uncertain outcome, determined primarily by chance or luck, and the negative is expected. And for most participants, it's a guarantee. It's already shown. So that puts you on this game of chance, which puts you in an emotional high and emotional low. And then you have what they call the house edge. All them casinos didn't get built by somebody else's money. So don't be stupid. So the key presentation is that we take our smartphones, and that literally this contagious digital thing we have now has the ability to bring in gambling. It will eliminate constraints like you have to travel, like you'd have to go someplace and play to get engaged in that kind of activity. The global online waging revenue has risen rapidly toward the historic multi-billion dollar. 80% of all digital gambling is now conducted exclusively through mobile apps. Let me give you this. Let's get serious from a culture, from human beings, man to man. A guaranteed mathematical loss. It's built in and it's in the system. And that proves 96% of online players face net financial loss. Come on. But you get addicted to the ding, is that right? Over half of the apps used engaged with betting platforms habitually use it every single week. Every week. I remember seeing a girl on TikTok or somewhere. She was going in to buy a lottery ticket because she had spent all of her money and she was going to go rub the lottery ticket to pay her rent. She didn't draw. She didn't hit. The spiritual illusion of fast wealth. A man with an evil eye hastens after wealth and does not know poverty will come. I just gave you the statistics. So it's like, oh God, I just didn't know that this was going to happen. I didn't know I was going to get in here. I'm 18 years old and I'm sitting around with a bunch of 30-year-old, 40-year-old guys and all of a sudden they took all my money. I just wanted to take my $80 and double it overnight. Nothing wrong with that, right? We all need money. No, it's not right. And so what we have is a drain of net loss that is guaranteed if you continue. And so what has happened, it's just imploded into everything. You can go on there now. Let's see. DraftKings. You guys heard of the DraftKings? Mm-hmm. FanDuel. Yeah. Oh, now Caesar's Palace has got online too. You understand that it's just never ending. So, how does the worldly definition of taking a risk, which everybody goes into when they're thinking, well, I'm just going to gamble. If I lose, I'm going to take a risk like I do in everything else. Compare that with the biblical concept of walking by faith. Okay? So let's get this so we can know. We don't have these gray, strange areas that can draw us out. In what ways can a community proactively support families suffering from the ripple effect of financial deception or addiction? These are questions that it's in the church, y'all. We don't need to talk about it like it's somewhere else. This is a part of a large percentage of the people. And the steps that we can take to daily cultivate contentment. We'll see Hebrews 13:5 many times. Come now, you who say, today or tomorrow we will go to such a city, spend a year there, buy, sell, and make a profit. We ought to say, if the Lord wills, we will live and do this or that. All such boasting is evil. Therefore, him who knows to do good and does not do it is evil. Now that establishes a precedent of faith in our work. And if you missed it, read it again. Today or tomorrow, we're going to go make a business. Buy and sell and make a profit. Authorized. If it's God's will. We could lose. It's a risk, but it's not a risk that we are making arbitrarily. We're doing something that is according to God's will, and we're not boasting that we beat the system. Every individual I know that is in this gambling arena, and they say, I got it. I beat the system. What's the system? For you to lose. Hebrews 13 and verse 5, keep yourselves free from the love of money. Be content with what you have. Contentment and financial faith. This is where we got to get to. Financial faith. Not your prosperity preaching business. Let's just break it down. I love these graphics that they're able to generate. You got greed leads to spiritual suffering. The love of money is the root of all kinds of evil. So we have a checklist of our affection for money. Now, this stewardship that is faithful, value honest work, rather than what gambling is causing us to lose. Philippians 2, instructing us about loving our neighbor. I don't invite him over. Hey, let's play cards and let me see if I can fleece you for $100. Interest of others. And in 13:5, Hebrews 13:5 says, be content with what you have. There's a level of contentment that seems to fight the idea of gambling. The scriptural path to dignified living is not being a slick, cool gambler. 1 Thessalonians 4:11, that you might learn to lead a quiet life. minding your own business, working with your own hands as we commanded you. Ephesians 4, he who stole, steal no more, but work with his hands that he may have to give to him who has need. It didn't say, go play the lottery. If you win big, you can give all your friends money. That's not the biblical model. The path of peace is truly ambition for quiet, minding one's own business, working with your hands, and then complete the command as we commanded you to live this life, to live it out. And so the foundation, so everyone knows, is that God has ordained, established the means through which we gain wealth. By diligent labor, by fair exchange of goods, by benevolent gifts, not by gambling. Work with your hands, that which is good, the Christian path to commerce. James 1 even defines it. If the Lord wills, we're going to go do some business. Just balances, Leviticus 19, just balances, just weights, just ephah, and a just hin shall you have. Listen, the industry you're playing with is not just or balanced. And then the benevolence is the fact that we have to give to those who are in need. And there will be a moment in your time, possibly, that you think, I need to take my last $5 and go bet it all. No, you need to be in a relationship with people that you can say, hey, I am down to my last $5. Can you get me by until I can get my work done? That's us. You come up to me and say, I tell you what, 96 to 4% odds, I'll take 5 to 1, right? Is that how we're going to start doing benevolence? We just play the odds, roll the dice, gamble on if Costco goes up on their $1.50 hot dog. It's not founded on any precept. There's no principle of right. We conclude the act is contrary to righteousness. It's just contrary to it. And when you think about your influence and how that we moderate or navigate this, it's complex because our society accepts it. You're the odd man out if you don't play in the, what's it called? The squares? What is that called? Pool. Is it a pool gambling? When you guess the score? Anyway. Is that right? Is it a pool? Sorry, y'all. Yeah, office pool. I said no so long that I guess I got cut out. Consider Paul's caution regarding money and influence. First of all, Paul said, hey, I hadn't used any of the rights that I have to ask you for money so that you wouldn't think that I'm in this for my money. And 2 Thessalonians 3, be an imitator of me. Well, Paul, what did Paul do? Well, he certainly didn't go try to and there was gambling in these days as well, by the way. He didn't go down and try his luck with the dice or whatever they were rolling at the time. So, integrity and accountability. When we get down far, and I guess what we're willing to do, and now here's what I believe. With the popularity of the online gaming and gambling, that we have a more effective ability to stand against gambling. I know it used to be, I got a friend, they love watching the horses run, and we're just going to go down there and watch the horses run. Oh, we'll just do a whatever $3 bet or whatever play that game. I remember a friend of mine coming back through. Sue, you still remember this? Well, 30 years ago. They came through, had gone down there, had done that, and won $360 or something like that. They were cloud nine. A month later, they tried it. Guess what? They gave it all back. Why? The nature of the addiction. I did not take advantage of you. He went through these steps of integrity to make certain, and the Bible replete. Avoid self-interest or self-serving. It's destructive. It compromises righteous influence and leads people astray. Because inevitably, that little picture of the guy in the dark handing the minister the money, that is the gambling that an individual would compromise the truth or the purity of his game in order to try to hedge a bet. So, the wisdom that comes from God, discernment. Don't neglect the needy. Focus on charity. Don't worry about the selfish accumulation. A person's life does not consist of the abundance of the things that he possesses. You are, as Ephesians 4 and 2 Thessalonians, do your own work who has need. In 1 Corinthians 15:33, well, I know all of your friends are not evil that engage in this activity. They're all losers that do. Okay? I didn't say that they were all evil that are gauging in their phone and trying to bring you in, but they're all losers. And you can prove it. You can prove it. This isn't a guessing game. Oh, you might find a guy, but they're all losers. And the end result is you become so internalized on what you can get that it builds this selfish desire for more that leads to the lack of provisions for those who are responsible. That working with our hands that we may give, if a man does not provide for his own, he's denied the faith. Evil companions corrupt good morals. So, violates the golden rule, violates stewardship. It destroys the work ethic and it tears down home and family. We should exemplify home and family in the fact that we are people of integrity. Matthew 6, you serve God or mammon. Luke 12, life is not measured by the things that we possess. The virtue of contentment, godliness with contentment is great gain. Philippians 4, I have learned in whatever state I am to be content. The presence and the promise of God in that text of being content is when God says, I'll never leave you nor forsake you. You forsake Him in the pursuit of ill-gotten gain. We're going to work that in today. That ill-gotten gain, then God's going to... An appreciation for God's provisions, that's where we turn our minds, not in the least lustful greed for more. Keep yourselves free from the love of money and be content with what you have. I'll never leave you nor forsake you. So, walk in not walking by faith. 4 points, we're walking out. What happens? Gambling is not walking by faith, and we begin to, in gambling, normalize distortions. Widespread gambling conditions a society to rely on the gambler's fallacy, believing a win is due. The illusion of control over random events, which is not possible. Over time, it erodes the community's commitment to logical financial planning, hard work, and rational decision making, and a man will budget 20% of his income and go rub lottery tickets into his budget. If he invested that into a business, he could get somewhere. The ripple effect of gambling studies consistently show that the single problem of a gambler directly impacts the psychological effect of 5 to 10 close associates, the people that are around you. The collective drama creates a systematic anxiety, chronic stress, depressive disorders with families and with friends. And obviously, the very nature, it builds an erosion of community trust. Even if it is a thing for fun, the end result is I want to beat you and take your money. The relationship is fractured through winning and losing. Isolation and social distrust is the result. And in compulsive gambling, it's like a severe physical health issue. It's a severe addiction. Substance abuse, suicidal abuse, as we've illustrated, these places incredible burden on our public mental health, our spiritual. We can't reach them in that state. Our final slide. Hebrews 13 and verse 5. Let that be what takes you home. Keep your lives free from the love of money. Be content with what you have, because God has said, I will never leave you nor forsake you. Here is where we realize to walk by faith is to avoid gambling and to do things in integrity and honesty before all men. Are you subject to the invitation?